Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Delighted to welcome you to our Backhaul client webinar today. My name's Caroline Gabriel. I'm the Research Director at Maravedis-Rethink. You won't hear too much from me today, but I wanted to welcome you and hope that you will learn a lot, I'm sure you will, from the webinar today to add value to your participation in the Backhaul programme. I'll shortly hand over to Esteban Monturus, who's the Principal Analyst in charge of our Backhaul service, as you know. Just before I do that, can I please remind you that you can submit questions for Esteban at any time by typing them into the question box. You'll see that on the control panel to the right of your screen. So please feel free to put in your questions and we will seek to answer them as far as we can at the end of the session today, or anything that's particularly complicated or detailed. I know Esteban will be very happy to take that up with you personally offline. So welcome, and I'm going to hand over now to Esteban. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline, and welcome everybody. This is the agenda that we will be following today. First of all, I will introduce the intermodal perspective idea that is the central methodology or the central view that is behind the latest Backhaul report that we are discussing today. Then I will go to the analysis of the quantitative 2012 analysis, going from the methodology and a review of the results of this quantitative analysis. And then I will introduce the top 37 international mobile group model, the IMG 37, that we have used to develop both the run and backhaul forecasts. That, of course, this report only includes the backhaul forecast. Then we will go through the macro and metro backhaul methodology, hypothesis, and forecast in the 2013 to 2018 timeframe. And finally, we will present the conclusions of this whole report. So, starting with the idea of an intermodal perspective, with this report we have tried to analyze the wireless backhaul market, taking into account that wireless is not the only technology that can be used for cellular backhaul, and so we are providing a lot of detail on the different variants of wireless backhaul technologies like millimeter wave, sub-6 GHz, point-to-multipoint microwave, and point-to-point microwave, but not forgetting that these technologies are complementary to the existing copper and fiber deployments. So at the end, if we consider the cellular deployment in the center of this analysis, the different technologies that are available are just like buses and trains in a station where passengers can choose the best way to arrive to their destinations. So starting with the quantitative analysis of 2012, the methodology that we have used has been to select a meaningful bunch of vendors in each of the technologies that we have considered or we have analyzed in the report, including point-to-point microwave, point-to-multipoint microwave, and millimeter wave. And we have, of course, estimated the percentage of the market that these vendors were representing, because, of course, it is not possible to cover all the vendors in this fragmented market of the wireless backhaul. After having selected these vendors, we have conducted the interviews and obtained information about shipments and revenue from all of them using our own data templates. And of course, the final granularity that has been provided by these vendors always depends on their disclosure policies, which we respect completely. Of course, those gaps that have appeared because of these disclosure policies have been filled up with our estimations to provide a complete study. So how was the point-to-point microwave market in 2012? If we look at the table on the left, we can see the performance of the top 6 microwave vendors in the point-to-point market, and we can see that most of them have increased market shares respect to 2011, and particularly only Alcatel-Lucent lost part of his market share, and it is interesting to analyze the new product announcements that all these vendors have introduced in the last year, and you can see that Alcatel-Lucent has been the only one that has not made any announcement about new products. I am talking about products that have been developed in-house, because of course Alcatel-Lucent has announced some partnerships with various vendors in the backhaul industry. If we look at the graph on the right-hand side of the slide, you can see that Europe has continued to be the main region in the microwave market, followed by APAC, and there has been a relatively smooth evolution of the market during the year from quarter to quarter. In terms of frequency bands, I wanted to highlight the importance of the 42 GHz band. This new frequency band is expected to become especially important for metro cells, but in any case, it is interesting to see the evolution of shipments in this band. And as you can see on this graph, there is still a small market for 42 GHz in point-to-point microwave. Also, shipments are not stable, so they have been growing and decreasing from quarter to quarter with not showing a clear evolution, which means that we are still in a very preliminary stage of the uptake of 42 GHz in point-to-point. And it is also interesting to note that these frequency bands allows also to be used for point-to-multipoint solutions, and so it is going to be interesting to see the competition between point-to-point and point-to-multipoint to gather the largest part of this market. In terms of the E-band market in 2012, Ciclu was the leading vendor both in terms of units and revenue, and the main explanation for this leading position is a cost advantage position that Ciclu has gained thanks to the profuse use of chipsets both in the RF and baseband and also networking. And it is interesting to see Bridgewave, which has been a traditional important player in the market, to be penalized by the high price points because this vendor has taken some time to develop its own RF chipsets, and they were using discrete components in the RF front end until now. It is interesting to note that 70-80 GHz, that is E-band, is the typical entry for most of microwave vendors in the millimeter wave market. So let's say that the threat for E-band players coming from microwave vendors is higher compared to the V-band market. If you look at the graph on the bottom of the slide, you can see that E-band continues to be the main frequency band in the millimeter wave market, but there is an increasing number of shipments in the V-band market, as we will analyze in the coming slide. So in 2012, Subten was the main vendor in the V-band market, and we believe that this good performance is very related to the partnership that Subten signed with Alcatel-Lucent in 2012, which provided a lot of recognition in the market. Bridgewave has been playing in the V-band market for years, mostly in the vertical market, in vertical applications. And this vendor developed a very interesting product which features steerable antennas. But the vendor is holding this product, meaning that it hasn't released it commercially, although the product seems to be production ready. And the reason is that Bridgewave had to deal with an early entrance in the market in the E-band market, and they don't want to suffer the same situation with the V-band market until this one is not mature enough. Regarding the evolution of this market for next year, we know that CCLU and NEC have released their own 60 GHz products, so V-band products. So this market is going to become much more competitive during 2013. If we analyze the regional breakdown of shipments for both V-band and E-band in 2012, we can see that the distribution of shipments is very related to the regulatory situation of both V-band and E-band in the different regions. There are some regions where there is a favorable regulation because of there has been an early opening of the spectrum. There are light licensing or unlicensed systems to allocate spectrum, and there is a lower cost per megahertz if we compare millimeter wave with microwave. These regions include North America, Europe, and especially CIS. And if you look at the graph on the right, it is quite interesting to see CIS with a very, I would say, aggressive increase of shipments during the year, which is particularly interesting because of a higher number of shipments even beyond North America. So this is really an important highlight. We have another bunch of countries, particularly in Middle East, where the band has been opened in some countries, but the annual fees for every millimeter wave link is following the same model as existing microwave links. So since the bandwidths in millimeter wave are quite wider compared to microwave, the annual fees for millimeter wave are too high for real applications in Middle East so far. And then we have some other regions where the regulation of millimeter wave is not clear enough yet. Those include CALA and Africa and also APAC. In these countries, there are still very few shipments, and we expect the situation to change in the future, but for now, this regulatory uncertainty is preventing shipments to increase. In terms of the point-to-multipoint microwave market in 2012, CBNL, Cambridge Broadband, continued to be the leading vendor, followed by Intracom and Blue One. If you look at the graph on the right, which shows revenues, for this market we are showing revenues because you know that the topology includes hubs, remotes, and sometimes even IDUs, so indoor units for the hub, which can be separate. So revenues, although the report provides shipments for all these categories of equipment, analyzing revenues may be a very good way of summarizing the evolution of this market in 2012. And as you can see on the graph, the evolution of this market is quite bumpy, meaning that the evolution of point-to-multipoint microwave market it's still very depending on concrete projects. So that also increases the difficulty on forecasting the evolution of this market in the coming years. Of course, there is an important positioning of developing countries which have traditionally adopted point-to-multipoint microwave more easily than other regions like Europe and North America. In terms of the breakdown of frequency bands for 2012 in the PMP market, we have bundled the different frequency bands into two different groups. The lower bands, 10.5 and 12 GHz, which are more related to access and broadcast applications, and the higher frequency bands like 26, 28, and 42 GHz bands, which are more important for backhaul and particularly will become important for metro cell backhaul. I wanted to highlight that the reason that we have bundled frequency bands into these two groups, it is just because we wanted to protect some disclosure agreements from some of our collaborating vendors. So we obviously have the information, but we have to respect the preferences of our partners. If you look at this graph, you can see that the evolution in terms of frequency band breakdown is not, I would say, even along the year, so reflecting the bumpy evolution of this market at this point. The last technology that is considered in this report is sub-6 GHz band. For this technology, we haven't included quantitative analysis because of different regions. First of all, because there is still a high use of 5 GHz band in developing countries, which is not very applicable or suitable for developed countries where the probability to be interfered by user devices with 5 GHz Wi-Fi is much higher compared to those rural locations. Also, because the evolution of this market is not so. The evolution from WiMAX of WiMAX systems to the use of this spectrum for backhaul applications is not so clear from a commercial perspective, particularly when looking at licensed frequency bands. And there are additional obstacles, for example, in North America, where the FCC is considering the option to open the 3.6 band for shared spectrum use, which could prevent future applications for backhaul in carrier grade applications. There are expectations to open the 3.8 to 4.2 GHz band for backhaul as well, but the regulation is not clear yet. And of course, there is a threat from the LTE technology, which is addressing the 2.x bands, and well, the 3.x bands are also considered for future releases of the LTE technology. Because of the former use of mainly the 3.5 GHz band for WiMAX services, there has been an important spectrum fragmentation because these frequency bands have been allocated sometimes in a regional basis. So we consider that there's going to be quite challenging for mobile operators to really take advantage of this technology and access proper spectrum allocations to use it for backhaul. In terms of vendors, although we do not provide the market shares, we have seen that the most active vendors are at this moment are vendors that come from the former WiMAX industry, including Radwin, Proxim, and Airspan. There are some others that have decided to focus more on vertical applications like Redline and Alvarion, not so looking at cellular backhaul applications. A few years ago, there was a first wave of backhaul specialists, including Taqua and Blink. Vendors are already providing commercial equipment, but this equipment does not support enough throughputs for LTE backhaul. So these are more related to 3G small cells. And we are seeing a second wave of backhaul specialists emerging, including Torana and Fastback, which differentiate from the first wave in the sense that they include smart antennas, which from our view is a crucial feature for sub-6 GHz to succeed, mainly because of the limited spectrum that is available for this technology to be deployed. And also it is interesting to note that large OEMs are starting to integrate no-line of sight backhaul with their existing RAN devices, RAN equipment, and these large OEMs include Huawei, CTE, and Ensign. So now that we have presented our methodology and the results of the quantitative analysis of 2012, I am going to introduce this IMG37 model that we have used as the basis for our RAN and backhaul research, and that is providing a considerable granularity to our assumptions and our forecast in all the world. So this, as its name states, this model is based on the top 37 mobile international groups in terms of mobile subscribers. You can see the complete list of groups in the left part of the slide, and on the right part you can see an example of the operations of Vodafone. Just to highlight that with a single operator you are including several national networks, even spread through different continents. And so these 37 top international mobile groups translate into 208 national networks included in this study, which account for 78% of total mobile subscribers as of Q3 2012, which means that this selection of operators includes a very representative part of the total cellular market in the world. And as I said, this affects all regions in the world. So let's start by explaining what is the macro forecast methodology. First of all, starting from the left of the slide, we start by getting the results of the Maravedis-Rethink run service led by Caroline and Gabriel. And so getting this run forecast, which includes both new cell sites and refreshed cell sites, we are capable of creating a breakdown of backhaul technologies, going through these 37 mobile international groups, country by country, and selecting what is going to be the breakdown between wireless and wireline backhaul technologies in terms of percentage of cell sites. Once we have determined then the percentage, the number of cell sites that will be connected by wireless technology, and considering that you need 2 radios per link, one at each end of the link, then you get the number of last mile radios for the coming years in the 2013-2018 time frame, and that obviously includes point-to-point and point-to-multipoint microwave. If we compare these numbers coming from the, I would say, the elaboration on the run forecast. If we compare these numbers with the shipments of 2012 in the microwave market, the backhaul market in general, we can get a difference which is related to aggregation, long haul, and verticals. For this methodology, we have considered that 10% of radios are related to vertical deployments, following the feedback that we got from vendors doing our survey with the spreadsheet with our templates, and we have kept the percentage of long-haul links constant, the same for 2012, constant into 2013 to 2018, to get the trunking component of the microwave market in these coming years. So the difference between these radios that we got from the initial number and subtracting verticals and trunking, we get aggregation. And this is how we have created our shipment forecast for the macrocell market, which translates into revenues taking into account the average selling prices. In order to get the breakdown, or to consider the breakdown of between wireless and wireline backhaul, we have made assumptions. We have researched for all those operators that provide this information about the breakdown of wireless versus wireline, and we have extrapolated to similar operations in the same country or in similar countries. In the graph on the right, you can see the graphical representation of our estimated evolution of the breakdown between wireless and wireline. So this is the percentage of wireless backhaul in the macrocell layer for the different regions. And for example, obviously Africa is the region where we expect the highest percentage of microwave, or let's say wireless backhaul in general. In APAC, we are including in fact two sub-regions because there are some countries where fiber is a predominant technology, like China, Japan, South Korea, Singapore, and there are some other countries where wireless technologies are much more important. CALA and Europe are predominantly wireless, the same as CIS, where there is a lot of fiber being deployed, but mostly for backbone applications, not so much for last mile. In Middle East also we are seeing quick fiber deployments, and this is the reason why the orange line in the graph is one of those going down most quickly. And we expect North America to become constant in the coming years because the penetration of wireline technologies in the backhaul market is already pretty high compared to other regions, and also because we are witnessing an increasing interest from the mobile operators in this region on wireless technologies, mainly related to the densification of LTE deployments. So taking into account the methodology and the hypothesis that we have presented before, this slide is presenting the results of our market forecast for macrocell backhaul. On the graph on the left, you can see the point-to-point forecast, including the different segments that we were considering in the methodology, and point-to-multipoint in the right. You can see that the evolution is the same in terms of growth and decrease in number of shipments or revenue. And the reason is why it is because this evolution is tightly related to the deployment of cellular networks. So the trends that we got from the RAN service are directly impacting the forecast for the backhaul market, and we see that the evolution will be considerably flat in the coming 3 years, with a sudden increase in shipments in 2016, mainly related to the deployment of LTE networks that has been delayed a little bit compared to the initial deployment plans. From 2017 onwards, there is a decrease in the number of shipments, and this is quite related to the transfer of the focus of backhaul deployment, or I would say not only backhaul but both run and backhaul, from the macro layer to the metro layer. So as we will see later, there will be a compensation of this decrease with the metro backhaul market. Now, going into the metro forecast methodology, this is also based on the IMG37 model and also starting from the Mare run service, which, by the way, is included in the run backhaul. I mean the run report that Caroline Gabriel has also published in Maravedis-Rethink as a companion report to this backhaul market that this backhaul report that we are analyzing today. So in this case, we are getting the metro cell forecast directly from the Maravedis-Rethink run service, and we are making the assumption that each operator included in this IMG37 model will choose 2 technologies for metro cell backhaul. There will be a first option with a given percentage of success in terms of connection of metro cells depending on the location. So for all the wireless technologies, we have considered that 80% of metro cells will be connected by the first option of technology. And for those operators that choose wireline as the first option, 90% of cell sites, I mean metro cells, will be connected by that first option of technology. As I said, each operator is going to choose 2 technologies, so we have also made an assumption on the second technology that will be chosen by each of those operators. And in order to the percentage of metro cells that will be connected by this second technology is the remaining percentage of links, I mean of metro cells, considering the table on the top part of this slide. So now that we have the metro cell backhaul breakdown, we have to convert these numbers into wireless backhaul radios, and for this we need to make an assumption or to make an estimation on the number of radios that will be deployed per link, and also the number of hops that will be used to connect each metro cell to the rest of the backhaul network. So obviously these 2 parameters depend on the technology that is chosen by the mobile operator. For sub-6 GHz band, although this is usually proposed as a point-to-multipoint technology, the limitation in terms of bandwidth that is typical in the sub-6 GHz band makes us think that point-to-point will be the final topology used in this category, and that's why we have considered 2 radios per link. Obviously, given the exceptional or the improved performance in non-out-of-sight applications allows sub-6 GHz to connect or to provide connectivity in obstructed conditions. This is the reason why we have considered that 100% of links using this technology will be able to connect the metro cell in a single hop. And for those microwave and millimeter wave technologies, this percentage decreases to 80%. because these technologies are not, at least at the current state of development, are not able to deal with the same level of performance with obstacles. So there will be 20% of links that would need a second link to, 20% of metro cells that will need a second link to connect to the backhaul. I also wanted to explain our assumption about the number of radios per link in the PMP market. Obviously, it is under 2 because we are talking about using a hub instead of collocating several radios looking at different directions. We have estimated that given the requirements, the throughput requirements of LTE, the average number of remotes perhaps will be 4 in the PMP microwave market. But there are different vendors in this market, and there are differences in terms of the architecture that is being proposed. There are some vendors that propose a single model of equipment that is used for any role, hub or remote, and obviously the price of this node would be just the same for both roles. And there are some others that are proposing considerably different architectures and prices for hub and remote. So this is the reason why we have made the assumption that 75% of the market, of the PMP market, will be will include vendors that offer the same hardware for both remote and hub, and thus and this influences obviously the average selling price that we have included as part of these radios per link. So once that we have made our assumptions on the number of links and then number of radios per link, we have gone from metro cells to radios, and then if we apply assumptions on the average selling prices, we can get the revenues for the next 5 years. So in the graph in the middle of the slide, you can see our expected evolution of average selling prices for the different technologies. The starting point of these average selling prices are related to the current levels that we are seeing today. And the most, I would say, the most interesting evolution to explain is the evolution of the average selling prices for millimeter wave. The current level of these average selling prices is pretty high compared to microwave, and we have explained some of the reasons before, like the not so generalized use of RF chipsets, the low volumes in the market, and we also expect another important fact to influence the evolution of this market, and it is the synergies between the millimeter wave market and the WiGig alliance, which has developed, or well, now is merged with the Wi-Fi alliance, but it continues to be managing the development of the 60 GHz end user technology for private applications. So this synergy with the WiGig technology will provide volumes to the additional volumes to the V-band market, and that will contribute also to decrease the average selling prices. As you can see, sub-6 GHz is the type, the variant in the wireless backhaul, which offers and will continue to offer slightly the lowest average selling prices, simply because the frequency band is the lowest one, and the technology and the components for this kind of equipment has been available for years now. Well, in order to apply this methodology, we have to do some hypotheses. First of all, we expect that operators will try to make use of all the spectrum assets that they own and they are not being quite used today. We also foresee the need to leverage the investment on FTTX deployments. This is something that is considerably different in the metro cell backhaul market compared to the macro cell backhaul market, where fiber has been traditionally deployed in purpose for cellular backhaul, and now metro cells will be taking advantage of existing shared networks for fixed broadband. We have also considered that mobile operators will want to minimize their leasing costs, trying to own their metro cell backhaul before buying capacity from some other competitors. But at the same time, we see the opportunity for new wholesale service providers to offer backhaul services, and we also consider likely some of the existing partnerships in place to continue in terms of wholesale backhaul services. Okay, so now applying this methodology and the assumptions that I have explained before, I am going to go to review region by region the results of the different, of the metro cell backhaul forecast, starting by Africa. Well, all the regions have the same structure. We have the graph on the right, and the same color code is used both in the graph and in the left-hand side, where you can see the comments for to understand this evolution of shipments. In terms of wireline technologies, we see the strongest plans for fixed broadband deployments in Algeria, Egypt, and South Africa. So these are the countries where operators are most likely to make use of this technology for metro cell backhaul. And also we have included some groups like CELSI, which are quite prone to use this kind of technologies for backhaul. Africa is a quite challenging region for millimeter wave because of the regulatory uncertainty, and for example, Kenya is one of the few countries that has opened these bands, well, E-band concretely, for backhaul applications. As we have analyzed before, Africa has been traditionally important for PMP, and as you can see on the graph, it will be the #1 technology for metro cell backhaul, even beyond wireline, which is very particular of this region. We expect those groups that have been deploying PMP already for the macro cell backhaul to continue using it for metro cell applications, and also new customers like Vodacom, which owns spectrum in the 26 GHz band. Microwave is going to become a fallback technology in the sense that it will be the option for those operators where that do not have access to PMP spectrum and that operate in countries where millimeter wave has not been opened. And finally, WiMAX, sub-6 GHz technologies have the drawback that Africa is one of the regions where WiMAX services continue to be operational, especially, and although there are some big operators like Orange in Botswana and Cameroon which could be reducing their WiMAX allocations for sub-6 GHz backhaul. As you can see, the evolution of shipments is going to be especially important from 2017 onwards, and this is tightly related to the pace at which metro cells will be deployed. This is the result of the combined run and backhaul analysis that we have done. In the case of APAC, as you can see, the deployment of metro cells is much earlier, with a very important impact of wireline technologies, because these first metro cells deployed will come for those countries where wireline is the main backhaul technology, including China, Japan and South Korea, Singapore, and we also consider some particular deployments in countries where wireline is more important, but that have been announced, like the plans for Reliance Industries and Reliance Communications to share light poles with integrated backhaul and metro cells. The event has been already open in several countries, and we expect for this reason millimeter wave to become the second, the second technology for metro cell backhaul in this region, and the first wireless one. And we have also included our assumption that millimeter wave will be open by the time that the Indian operators will deploy metro cells, which won't be until 2015. In terms of PMP, we see some interesting business opportunities in Turkey, especially related to Turkcell and Vodafone Turkey, which own spectrum in typical point-to-multipoint bands. It is also interesting to note that there is a low FTTH penetration in this country, and this is the perfect environment for PMP to succeed, and also opportunities with existing customers of PMP technology like Maxis Malaysia. There are some other countries where microwave will be the chosen technology, simply because millimeter wave won't be allowed yet, and those operators lacking PMP spectrum won't be able to use any other technology besides sub-6 GHz. This technology is particularly interesting also in Turkey, where Turk Telecom is already using WiMAX for rural deployments, and using it for urban backhaul would be the perfect complement to reuse the same spectrum for different purposes. And also there is an opportunity with SMART, which is not using the 2.5 GHz spectrum for LTE in the Philippines. In the CALA region, we expect the wireline technology to become the most important one. And Brazil, which is one of the most important countries in terms of subscribers, will be deploying DAS equipment in their stadiums for the FIFA World Cup 2014. So this is obviously going to influence the evolution of metro cell backhaul in the region. And also we are seeing strong FTTX deployments going on in Brazil, which could be also used for metro cell backhaul as well. Also in Brazil, TIM is the weakest operator in terms of fixed broadband offering, and we expect it to complement that with millimeter wave, be it E-band or V-band. V-band is already open in Brazil, and also Movistar Mexico, which lacks fixed broadband deployments and needs to backhaul metro cells. We haven't detected particular, I would say, signs of interest on PMP for metro cells in the CALA region, although we have included an estimation for those plans or announcements that may come in the future. So for those countries where operators do not have any alternative because they lack fixed broadband, because they don't have PMP spectrum, because millimeter wave is not approved, those operators that do not have even no line of sight spectrum allocations in sub-6 GHz band will be using microwave technology, including Movistar Argentina, which has relatively early plans for, or we expect them to deploy relatively early in 2014, and also other countries with plans to deploy metro cells in later, including Colombia, Chile, Ecuador, Uruguay, and Venezuela. It's interesting to note that WiMAX has been continues to be in service in many parts of this region, and this is also an obstacle for sub-6 GHz bands to be used for backhaul applications. In the CIS region, in terms of wireline backhaul, Bimbelcom appears to be the most important operator because of its FTTX plans in Russia and Ukraine. As we have shown before, there is an important uptake of E-band technologies in the CIS region, and this is why we are seeing here that it will become the second largest metro cell backhaul technology, mainly for megaphone, for example, which lacks fixed broadband deployments. Also in this region, we expect to see PMP deployments because of some synergies between sister companies like MTS and Intracom Telecom. And also there are some countries where there is considerable regulatory uncertainty, and then for those operators in these countries, we have considered microwave to be the main technology. In terms of sub-6 GHz band, there is a particularity of the CIS market, and it is that the 5 GHz band is licensed, unlike other regions like APAC or Europe or North America. But the problem is that this spectrum is quite fragmented, and it's even in use for WiMAX services. So it is not very clear the horizon for sub-6 GHz in CIS for backhaul. In Europe, continuing with the tradition to deploy or to use wireless technologies mainly for backhaul, this trend will continue in metro cell backhaul. But at the same time, we are seeing a lot of interest on FTTX deployment, not only from incumbents, but also from competitive operators like Vodafone in Spain and Portugal and Telenor in Sweden. So we expect these operators to take advantage of those deployments to connect metro cells. Millimeter wave is a very good technology alternative in this region because the bands have been quickly opened, so the technology is available, and we expect that those operators lacking PMP spectrum will choose this option. The PMP market is going to become quite interesting in Europe, unlike it was in the past for macro cell applications. And the reason is that there are several operators in this region that own spectrum that can be potentially used for PMP applications, including some Scandinavian operators, and also already customers, I mean operators that are currently using the technology, like Global Bulgaria. And one of the markets where we see an interesting opportunity for PMP applications is the UK, where there are 2 licenses in the 42 GHz band that could be offering wholesale services to the main MNOs. Again, in this region, microwave becomes, point-to-point microwave becomes a fallback technology whenever there is no better alternative. And it is also interesting to know that there are some incumbents in the region that own 3.5 GHz licenses that are not being profusely used. They are mainly for rural applications, and they could be used for metro cell backhaul in urban areas as a complement to FTTH, for example. In the Middle East, we have seen an important role for wireline technologies. This is considerably different compared to the macro cell market. The reason is the change in the I would say the synergies between fixed and mobile in terms of reusing the existing FTTX deployments for metro cell backhaul, when for macro cell backhaul the type of fiber that was deployed was not the one that was used for fixed broadband services. So there are strong FTTX plans in Qatar and in Saudi Arabia, and because of the concentration of population in this region, then the probability or the feasibility of wireline backhaul for metro cells will be considerably high. There is a drawback for E-band in this region regarding the annual fees, because they continue to be per megahertz and in the same levels as microwave. So there won't be much uptake of this technology until regulation changes, if it changes in anytime. And in terms of PMP, although there has been some deployments in this region in the past, the same operators that were deploying the technology have the option to use wireline for metro cell backhaul, and this is the reason why the uptake of PMP technology may not be so important as it could be foreseen at the beginning. In terms of microwave, the business opportunity here is higher because of the obstacles for millimeter wave to succeed. And regarding sub-6 GHz, in this region there are still some WiMAX operations in place. And as in other regions, there is a fragmentation that could prevent the spectrum to be used for backhaul. Finally, North America, which is the only region for which we see a decrease in shipments for metro cells in this 2013 to 2018 timeframe. The two largest operators, AT&T and Verizon, have strong plans for wireline fixed broadband deployments, including in VDSL and FTTX. And on the other side, we see T-Mobile and Sprint, which traditionally have depended on wholesale backhaul providers. So they are the perfect candidates to deploy millimeter wave to get rid of these wholesale providers. In terms of PMP, there are some bands in the US, particularly 28 and 31 GHz, but they are quite fragmented because they have been licensed in a very regional way. The same that happens with the 38 to 40 GHz, which is point-to-point in other regions, but has been allocated in blocks in this country, and again, it is quite fragmented. And as mentioned before, sub-6 GHz has additional drawback in North America if the FCC finally approves its plans to convert or to manage the 3.5 GHz band in a similar way to TV white spaces. So after having reviewed all the regions included in the report or considered in the report, we can see in this slide the resulting evolution of the backhaul market, including both macro and metro cell backhaul. And as you can see, thanks to the increase in metro cell backhaul shipments, the revenues of the wireless backhaul market won't decrease in 2017, but they will keep growing, and so this fact highlights the need for all the microwave vendors to enter the metro cell market to be present by then. Also, I wanted to highlight once again the importance of the synergies between the FTTX deployments and the metro cell backhaul, and the fact that metro cell is going to change the positioning of former niche technologies like PMP and the millimeter wave. So that's all. Now we open the Q&A for questions.
Thank you very much, Esteban. If anybody has a question, I've realised that we are up to the hour, and people's time is precious, but if you have a question that you urgently would like to ask, you've got a couple of minutes to type it into the box. So I would like just to perhaps to conclude with a summarising question to Esteban. So while I ask him that, do tap in anything last minute into the question box, and if not, as I said earlier, please feel free to come back to us offline with any follow-up questions. I know this has been very detailed and lots of valuable information to take in. But as a concluding point, Esteban, I was just wondering if you could perhaps comment on, obviously the backhaul service tracks all kinds of technologies on an all-year-round basis. I was wondering if there's a emerging development in technology or spectrum for backhaul which particularly excites you and you feel we may be talking about perhaps in a year's time, and that will have entered into the tracking of the backhaul service.
Could you repeat that question, Caroline?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, just talking about what we track with the backhaul service and how that will change, that changes over time. I was wondering if there's a particular emerging technology or perhaps a spectrum band that you feel will be exciting in a year's time, say.
Well, I think that the main challenge right now is that we are proposing to use for metro cell applications some frequency bands that have been typically used for line of sight applications, and I believe that there is still a need for further research on how these technologies will perform. And I believe that the future evolution of the backhaul market is going to change the importance of the different technologies that we have and the application. So I would say that, for example, the block allocated spectrum in the 26, 28, and 42 GHz band, which could be used for point-to-point and point-to-multipoint, we are going to see a lot of activity there in order to decide on the best topology and the best technology to overcome the different obstacles that you can find at street level in street canyons.
Excellent. And we do have a question from our audience today, and that is, do you believe that the components for Y-gig equipment are sufficiently carrier grade to deliver performance at this stage?
Well, of course, there are several components into a radio, so there will be some that may not be reuseful, so that won't be able to be reused, and some others it will. But the fact that there is more companies investing in this frequency band and the broad availability of chipsets could allow the same vendor to generate versions of the same chipset with increased or improved MTBF, so as to be used for carrier grade applications. It is just like Wi-Fi started by being a consumer market technology, and it has ended by being used also for carrier-grade applications, both for carrier Wi-Fi offload and for point-to-point backhauling in rural areas.
That's great. Well, as I said, I hope this has been valuable for everyone in the audience, and we do encourage, obviously, subscribers to our Backhaul and RAN services to develop an ongoing dialogue with us. So, you know, don't see this as the end of the session. Do feel free to have further conversation and discussion going forward with Esteban. Thank you for your attendance and your questions today, and we hope to speak to you very soon.